Welcome to the Empowered Life. I am your friend, Ern Inyon. This podcast aims to inspire you to create the life that you want to live. If you are not yet a subscriber, be sure to subscribe and get notified when a new episode is posted. Now let's go on with the show. Hello everyone. Last episode I mentioned that the solution to entitlement is sense of ownership. The essential connection that we need to nurture in our kids is the connection between performance and reward. Kids need to realize that they need to do something to get the reward. My son Ethan is 7 years old, so obviously he is not yet capable of working to make a living. However, we can teach already the essential connection. When Ethan would ask for a toy, my wife would sometimes tell our son to finish his homework or do something so he could earn that toy. When he starts getting his allowance for school, we will teach him how to save up for something he wants. So let's say he wants to buy a scooter and the scooter costs 30,000. He could save up for half of the cost and we can shoulder for the other half. By allowing for him to take part on the sacrifice, he will take more care of his things. He will value them more. We will extend this when he gets to college. Part of his tuition fees, he needs to pay for it. In this way, there is sense of ownership because there was sacrifice on his part. When he gets a bit older, we will teach him how to earn his own money and how to spend and invest. It is better to teach our child as early as possible because the stakes are small. If Ethan gets to learn the concept when he turns 10, by 20 he has already 10 years experience, and that is a huge plus. My wife and I believe in this concept because both of us were working scholars when we were in college. I worked as a part-time office assistant to augment my allowance and pay for my tuition fees. My wife had to sell shampoo and other beauty products to pay for her dorm fees. That is why we value education. I suggest you put a budget for your kids. Let's say for shoes, put a budget, let's say 2,000. If your kid wants shoes that are more expensive, let's say 3,000, let him work for the 1,000. That way he will take care of his shoes. Again, it is not about whether you afford it or not. You can afford it or not. It is about training your child to have sense of ownership. I also want to stress at this point that make sure to emphasize that you're doing this not because to earn your love. They are already loved. What we're trying to form is a habit. Education is more than just grades. One important legacy I wish my son will inherit from us is the love for learning. And I believe we are progressing in that department. Self-directed learning is a process of self-discovery. Another important thing that your kids should learn is giving. When your kids have a strong sense of ownership to their money or things, when they give, there is a profound feeling of joy. When your kids start thinking of other people, it is time to celebrate because they are on their way to becoming responsible young adults. Another important area that we need to teach our kids is for them to own up to their values. This one is a lot harder. It is easy to say I am honest, I am a person of integrity, innovative, etc. But practicing those values is hard. At Trails, the therapy center my wife and I have been operating for the past 20 years, our core values are plastered in all our branches as a reminder to all of us. However, we don't just stop there. We embed those values into our processes and systems. This way, we live out our core values. We as parents, we must remember that we are always on stage and our kids are looking at us. We are always on the spotlight. Every action we make, our kids emulate them. When I when I see my son laughing, oh my, that's how I laugh. If we want them to be honest, we need to be honest also with our dealings. A person I know was invited to a party. When the host called him to check if he was on his way, he said yes, but in truth, he was still at home. Incidents like this, we sometimes laugh it off. However, if your child happens to witness this, he will grow up to be dishonest. The benefit of working on values with kids is that we forced to recommit to living them as ourselves. Another area that we need to teach our child or children is they need to own up to their decisions. Again, my son is just 7. Of course, he can't make crucial decisions like choosing his school, what course to take when he reaches college, getting married, etc. But he can make decisions like what game he wants to play today, or what figure to draw, what food to eat. And then the older he gets, more crucial decisions he can make. We need to allow them to make mistakes so they can learn or realize early. We also need to teach them how to create goals and own them up. What's great about allowing them to create goals is we are allowing them to motivate themselves. You see, motivation is an inside job. It has to be intrinsic. If you rely on outside forces to motivate you, you are giving others to enslave you. By encouraging them to create their own goals, you nurture their grit, their tenacity, their self-determination. Lastly, we need to teach our kids to own up to their relationships and conflicts. Birds of the same feather flock together. Tell me who your friends are and I can tell you who you are. At this stage, I choose very well my friends because I value my time and energy. I want my son to realize this as early as possible. Find nourishing friends and avoid toxic ones. If you have friends that don't nourish you or uplift you, they are not your friends. Think about it. Why keep toxic people around? Well, many times, it is about you. Maybe you don't like yourself in the first place. That is why you are looking for people to justify your self-hatred. But if you truly love yourself, you will find that it is really a waste of time spending time with these people. If your child finds himself in a conflict, you allow them to settle it. We are often guilty of this, and we act automatically like policemen or the judge. We resolved it for them. If you find yourself in this situation, please restrain yourself. Allow your kid to settle the conflict by themselves. By doing so, you are allowing or you are empowering your child by giving them your trust. So those are the areas we need to teach our kids to develop the sense of ownership. However, sense of ownership is not something they need to hold on to all their lives. There is a point that we need to abandon it and replace it with a sense of stewardship. You see, hanging on to the sense of ownership for too long leads to comparison, envy, pride, and condescension. Sense of ownership will make you hungry for more. We love our kids. I love my wife more than anything in the world. But no matter how much I love them, I don't own them. I am merely a steward to watch over them, making sure they live a fruitful life. If we keep in our minds that we own the people we love, we will start controlling them. We will impose our wants. We will start to feel insecure. Having the mindset of stewardship is freedom. If you love someone, you set her free. Allow them to live their lives. So more so if we talk about things. We came into this world naked, and we will die also naked, not bringing anything when we die. All the wealth that you created, eventually you will leave all of them. So if that is the case, why bother creating wealth, you might probably ask. Well, we create wealth because we want to make things better when we found them than when we found them. For me, that is the only reason for wealth. I work hard because there are people I want to help. I need to create wealth because I know I can make a difference to a lot of people. If God will give me the chance, I will be a worthy steward. There is a verse that we Catholics say when we receive Holy Communion. Matthew 8 verse 13 says, "Lord, we are not worthy to receive you, but only say the word, and I shall be healed." This is of course referring to what the centurion said to Jesus to heal his son. It highlights his faith. For a time I thought it means we are not worthy of his love because we are sinners and we are pleading him to forgive us. If you take the literal meaning of it, of course. Now, I believe it means letting go of material possessions and attachments in life will heal us to become worthy stewards. It cannot be about love because we are already loved. Love is unconditional. But to be worthy stewards, we need guidance. We need to care for others. We need to love. Make sense? Another reason why I love the mindset of stewardship is because it nurtures compassion, awareness, and humility. We are our brother's keeper. We cannot turn our backs to people who have less. I really believe that a lot of our consequences in life are a matter of circumstance, not capacity. Many people are poor because they never got the chance to be introduced to abundant life. Imagine if you were born to a family in Afghanistan or in the slums and your parents abandoned you. Life would be so much different and extremely hard. But all it takes is compassion to open the door for them and allow the light of abundance shine on them, to give them a spark of hope. That spark will turn into possibility. Possibility will turn into action. And action leads to freedom. Thank you so much for listening, friends. Please rate and review this podcast and share it to your friends. Until next time, blessings always.